Hello my friends and welcome back. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you an easy crochet top with some cable stitches, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. For this project, we'll be needing two types of yarns, but of course you can go ahead and use any category 4 yarns as long as you're able to meet the gauge, which I've also placed in the description box below. So I'm using the cotton creme loops and threads in the color light gray, as well as Karen's Simply Soft party yarn in silver. It also has this really pretty rainbow tinsels in them, which I really like. I'm also using a 5.5mm hook. We would need some stitch markers, a measuring tape, and a tapestry needle as well. We'll first be working on the back panel by working 3 chains. This will be for all sizes. So go ahead and work 2 chains plus 1 chain as your turning chain. Now on the second chain from your hook, work 1 half double crochet by yarning over, insert your hook, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through all loops, and make your second half double crochet on that last chain. We are currently working our way down, so this will be the top of the shirt. Now we'll chain 1 to turn. Now on our second row, we'll be working slip stitches. So go ahead and insert your hook into that first stitch and work your slip stitch and your second slip stitch on the next stitch and chain 1 to turn. For our third row, we'll be working increases as well as working between the posts. But because it's a little bit tricky to work on slip stitches, on our first stitch, we'll need to look for that little stitch at the side, which is not considered a post stitch. So this is the space that we're talking about. So our first stitch will always be the first stitch that we made earlier. So go ahead and insert your hook and work 2 half double crochets on that first stitch. And on our next stitch, we'll be working between the post, which is the space between the 2 stitches that we made on the previous row, and work a half double crochet. So now we have 3 stitches on our third row. Chain 1 and turn your work. On our next row, we'll be working slip stitches again. So go ahead and work 3 slip stitches on this row. Chain 1 and turn your work. We'll continue to increase 1 extra stitch on that first stitch for the next several rows. So go ahead and insert your hook through that first stitch and work 2 half double crochets, followed by half double crochets between the post. So here we have 2 posts on this row. So go ahead and insert your hook between the first post and work a half double crochet, and your last half double crochet between that last post. Because of how the stitches work, I would advise you to pull your stitch slightly higher than usual in order for it to be the same height as your first stitch. Chain 1, turn your work, and basically go ahead and repeat the last 2 rows as you did earlier until you've reached the length of the armhole that you need to make. I'm making this top in size medium, so I will be working a total of 18 half double crochet rows. Let's do the next row together once more. We'll find that loop at the beginning and work 2 half double crochets. On the next stitch, we'll work between the post. So here is our first post. We'll work a half double crochet, between each post all the way across. So go ahead and continue working as many rows as you need to obtain the length of the armhole for your shirt. And I'll meet you back here once we're done. Once you've completed enough rows for your armhole, we will now need to make the underarm portion. On that last stitch, we will continue the row by making a chainless foundation half double crochet stitch. So you'll yarn over, insert your hook through that last post space, drop a loop, yarn over again and pull through one. This will be the foundation of your next stitch. Now you'll yarn over and pull through all loops. That would complete your first chainless half double crochet stitch. On the next stitch, we'll yarn over, insert a hook through the bottom loop of the previous stitch, drop a loop, yarn over, pull through one. That will be your base. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all loops. Now you have 2 chainless foundation half double crochet stitch. So you'll continue these steps for another 5 more stitches until you have a total of 7 chainless half double crochet stitches. Once you've completed 7 chainless half double crochet stitches, chain 1 and turn your work. From here, we'll continue working the slip stitch row followed by the half double crochet increase row, and I'll meet you back here on the next half double crochet row. Here we've reached our underarm portion, and on the last half double crochet stitch, you'll just continue working the half double crochet between the posts all across the underarm until you reach the end of the row. Chain 1 and you'll turn your work and repeat the last 2 rows of slip stitches and half double crochet between the posts until you've reached half the size of your body width. For size medium, I worked a total of 5 half double crochet rows, and now we'll start working on the decrease side. On your last row of slip stitches, we'll chain 1 and turn our work. Now on this row, we'll be working 3 half double crochets together. So on our first stitch, just like usual, we'll insert a hook to that first stitch, yarn over, and on the next 2 stitches, we'll be working between the posts. So go ahead and insert your hook between the posts, yarn over, and work on the 3rd stitch or the 2nd post, and work that half double crochet 3 together. Next, go ahead and work half double crochet stitches between the posts, and I'll work another set of slip stitches, and I'll meet you back here at the end of my slip stitch row. So I've just completed 1 row of half double crochet and another row of slip stitches. So we'll chain 1 and turn our work, and we'll do another row of half double crochet 3 together. So look for that first stitch at the side and drop a loop. Then you insert your hook through that first post space here, drop a loop, followed by the last half double crochet 3 together loop, like so, and pull through all loops to close. And then from here, we'll just continue working the half double crochet between the posts all the way across, and then repeat the last 2 rows until we have no more stitches remaining. If you have 2 stitches left on your hook, go ahead and work a half double crochet 2 together instead. Once you've completed all your decrease rows, it should look something like this. Now let's go ahead and work on the other panel. And just like how we worked on the first panel, we'll go ahead and repeat the same process but in mirror image. So go ahead and chain 3 and work 2 half double crochets, chain 1, turn your work, and work 2 slip stitches. On our next row, we'll chain 1 and turn our work. So instead of working 2 half double crochets on that first stitch, and because it's a mirror image, we'll only work 1 half double crochet on that first stitch, followed by 2 half double crochets between the next post. For our next stitch, we'll chain 1, turn our work, and work 3 slip stitches on this row. Chain 1 and turn your work. Again, on the first stitch, we'll only work 1 regular half double crochet stitch, on our next stitch, we'll be working between the posts. So here we have 2 post stitches. So go ahead and work that half double crochet between the first post, and on the last post we'll always work an increase of 2 half double crochets between the post. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat the last 2 rows until you've reached the same armhole length as you did on the first panel earlier. Once you completed the entire armhole, work 1 more row of slip stitches back, and we'll proceed to work on the underarm side. So instead of working chainless half double crochets, go ahead and work 7 chains instead. Work 1 more chain to start the next row. Now on the next row, we'll insert a hook to the second chain from our hook and work a regular half double crochet. Continue working 6 more regular half double crochets until you've reached the end of the chain. On the next stitch, look for that first stitch that we made earlier and work 1 more regular half double crochet stitch, followed by a half double crochet between the post stitch. So we'll continue working the half double crochet between the posts all the way across, and once we're on the last stitch, we'll work 2 half double crochets between the posts to continue our increased rows. Chain 1, turn your work, and repeat the slip stitch row followed by the half double crochet between the post rows all the way until you've reached the total width of half your body panel. So I've just completed 5 half double crochet increase rows, and on my next row will be my decrease row. So on this row, I'm working my half double crochet stitches, and I'll meet you back here at the end of the row to work on the decrease. So here I have 3 stitches remaining and 3 post spaces. For the next stitch, we'll be working a half double crochet 3 together. So go ahead and insert your hook between each post, like so, and close up that stitch to decrease. Chain 1, we'll turn our work, and as usual, we'll work slip stitches all the way across, and I'll meet you back here at the end of the next row. So here I've just reached the last 3 stitches of my half double crochet row, and remember to treat the last 3 stitched together as one stitch. So go ahead and work that half double crochet 3 together stitch between each post, like so, and close the stitch to decrease. Chain 1 and turn your work. From here, we'll just repeat the last 2 rows all the way across until we do not have any more stitches remaining. Once you've completed both back panels, it should look something like this. And due to the nature of the stitch, your work might slant slightly to one side, and that's totally normal. Next, we'll be working on the front panel using the exact same steps as we did on the back panel. You'll work your way from the top all the way down until you've made the armhole, and then you'll add the underarm portion and continue increasing. Once you've reached the same total width as half a back panel, bind off and go ahead and make a second panel. Repeat the same steps as you did for the first panel, but on that last slip stitch row, you want to join both pieces together like this. Turn your work down side up, and on that slip stitch row, on that last stitch, we'll just work our last slip stitch and insert a hook to that first stitch of the second panel and continue working our slip stitches all the way across. On that last stitch, you'll chain one and turn your work. And from here, we'll just be repeating the same pattern of half double crochet stitches between the post, and I'll meet you back here once we've reached the center of the body panel. Once you've reached that first stitch of the second body panel, we'll always start our first stitch as a normal half double crochet stitch. And the second stitch, go ahead and work between the post and all the way across. So we'll just repeat these 2 rows without any increases or decreases until we've reached the same length as the back body panel. And once you're done, it should look something like this. You have the sides and the front. The stitching is a bit slanted to the side, but again, that's completely normal. Now go ahead and place the back body panel on top of the front body panel, wrong side up like so. Align the sides together and work single crochet stitches on both pieces together to seam the sides. So here I did not bind off on my last stitch, so I'll go ahead and insert my hook through that first stitch on both panels and work a single crochet. Go ahead and continue working single crochet stitches on each stitch on both pieces all the way across. Once you've reached that last stitch, just chain one to secure and bind off. Now go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other side. Once you've completed seaming the sides, we'll go ahead and work on the straps. So go ahead and insert your hook at the top of the strap, drop a loop, and work single crochet stitches on both pieces together to secure. And don't forget to pick up the excess tail and work around them. And once you're done, chain one, bind off, and go ahead and work on the second strap. And this is how your finished body panel should look like. Now for our final piece, we'll be working on the sleeves. For size medium, I'm working a total of 36 chains, which would be the length of the sleeves. And just like how we've been working on the entire body panel, we'll go ahead and work half double crochet stitches on the first row. Once we've completed our first row, we'll chain one and turn our work. On this row, we'll work slip stitches, just like we did on the body panel, all the way across. We'll be working the same pattern as we did on the body panel by working one row of slip stitches and another row of half double crochet between the posts, and we'll repeat that last 2 rows all the way until we've reached double the length of the armhole of our body panel. Once you've completed all your rows, fold the sleeve in half, and yes, it will kind of bunch slightly because of the way the stitches are done, but that's okay. We'll place the stitch marker on the 8th stitch at the bottom of the row and attach the stitch marker to the other side of the sleeve. This is where we'll be joining the bottom of the armhole. Now from the last stitch of our half double crochet row, place both sleeves together, making sure that you're facing the wrong side out, and seam the sides with single crochet stitches all the way across until you've reached the stitch marker. Once you've completed seaming the sides all the way to the stitch marker, place your sleeves to the side and pick up your body panel. Bring the stitch marker side down and attach them to the armhole like so. And grab a few stitch markers to secure the sides. Now pick up both seam side at the bottom of the sleeve, like so. And from your last stitch, you'll just insert your hook through both pieces and work single crochet stitches in the round. And once you've reached the first stitch marker, just turn your work to the side and continue seaming the sides in the round. I've just completed working my way all the way around the sleeve, and once you've reached that last stitch, just slip stitch to the first stitch to close the round and bind off. Now go ahead and make a second sleeve and attach it to the other side of the body panel, and I'll meet you back here once we're all done with that. So I've just completed both sleeves, and this is how the final body piece should look like. Now let's go ahead and work on the border edging. I'm using my silver yarn, and with the same hook, work up a slip knot and chain 7. This will be for all sizes. Chain once more to start the next row. On the next row, we'll be working half double crochet stitches. So work 3 half double crochet stitches on the first 3 chains. Next, you'll chain 1, skip the next chain, and work 3 more half double crochet stitches until the end of the chain. Chain 1 and turn your work. On the next row, we'll be working single crochet stitches. So work 3 single crochet stitches on the previous stitch. On the 4th stitch, which is the chain space, go ahead and work a single crochet there and continue single crocheting all the way across. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now in this row, we'll be working cable stitches. On your first stitch, work 1 half double crochet stitch. On the next stitch, we'll be working a treble crochet. So yarn over twice around your hook and find that chain space from the foundation row. Insert your hook and complete that treble crochet stitch. And this will be considered your second stitch. So you'll skip the second stitch and work a half double crochet on the third stitch instead. Now just like what you did on the first row, you'll chain 1 and skip 1. So you'll skip that stitch. And now basically we'll work in reverse order. So we'll work 1 half double crochet on the next stitch. We'll work a treble crochet on the same space as we did earlier, which is the 4th chain space of the foundation row. Complete that treble crochet stitch, and that will be considered our 6th stitch. So we'll skip that stitch and we'll finish the last stitch with a half double crochet stitch. So here you'll be able to see that V-shaped cable stitch that we just did earlier. Chain 1 and turn your work. So now we'll be repeating the last 2 rows that we did. On this row, we'll work single crochet stitches all the way across. Chain 1, turn your work. We'll be working the cable stitch row, so we'll work 1 half double crochet on that first stitch. We'll work a treble crochet on the second stitch. So go and look for that 4th stitch of the previous single crochet stitch. Insert your hook, complete the treble crochet, skip the second stitch and work a half double crochet on the 3rd stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, work another half double crochet stitch. We're working in reverse now, so I'll work a treble crochet back again on the same single crochet stitch as we did earlier. Complete that treble crochet stitch. That will be our 6th stitch, and we'll work a half double crochet on that last stitch. Now you'll be able to see the arrowhead shape pattern form. So go ahead and repeat the last 2 rows until you've reached the total length of the front and back of your body panel, and I'll meet you back here to work on the last row. So I've just completed about 35 inches in length, or about 89 centimeters in total length. And now I'll be working on my last row. So once you've completed your last single crochet row, chain 1, turn and work 1 half double crochet on that first stitch, followed by 1 treble crochet stitch. I'll work a half double crochet on the 3rd stitch. Now instead of chaining 1 and skipping 1, I'll fill that hole with 1 half double crochet, and I'll continue the same pattern as we did before with a half double crochet stitch followed by a treble crochet, and I'll close my last stitch with a half double crochet stitch. I'll chain 1 and bind off. So this is how your last row should be. Now go ahead and make a second piece for the other side. Now place your body panel, the front body panel side up, and take your border edging with the arrows pointing downwards and place them on one side across. take some stitch markers and you want to secure each corner of the border edging to the body panel. With your tapestry needle, thread in a piece of the light gray yarn. The length should be slightly longer than the border edging. And we'll start from the outer corner of the edging. So you want to find the V-shaped loops at the side of the edging and insert your needle between the loops and pull through. Now on the body panel, you go back to that first loop and insert your needle between the loops, like so. Thread your yarn, and now on the second stitch, place your needle under and through the next loop and pull through. Now we'll go back to the edging side and find the loops and work your needle between each loop. This is a great stitch because it is an invisible stitch. You won't be able to see the join, and it also creates a flat join. Continue this stitch type all the way across until the corner of the edging, and you repeat the same steps all the way across until you've reached the center of the back. And I'll meet you back here once you're there. Once you've sewn all the way to the center of the back panel, bind off and align the second panel center point parallel to the first. Now pick up your needle and continue to sew the edging to the second panel all the way across. Bind off once you're at the end of the row. And this is how the finished edging should look like, a nice invisible seam without any gaps. Now let's do the second edging together. Just like what we did earlier, place the edging along the side, but this time on top of the first edging that we did earlier. Arrows facing downwards, and grab some stitch markers and secure them along the sides. Now take your tapestry needle with some yarn already threaded through, working from the outer edge of the edging. Insert your needle through and between a loop and pull through. Continue seaming along the sides all the way up and towards the back, and I'll meet you back here at the center point of the back panel. Once you've reached the center of the back, bind off, and since you know this step already, go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other panel. This is how the finished edging should look like. Neatly sewn stitches along the sides, and a little gap here in the center of the back. And to complete this entire look, let's go ahead and tidy up the hemline. We'll take our light gray yarn and insert a hook at the tip of the bottom of the edging and work one row of single crochet stitches all the way across to tidy up the whole look. So we're almost done with our top, and the one last thing we have to do is to add the support across the neckline. Measure your neckline's length. Here I have about 8 inches or 20 centimeters in length. Triple this length. And drop the bottom of that loop through the top of the shoulder. We will now be working an I-cord. Take the pulled end of the yarn and wrap it around the hook from the front to the back like this. Yarn over and pull through all loops. Wrap the yarn from the front to the back, yarn over and pull through all loops. You'll continue working on the I-cord until you've reached the total length of your neckline. Measure the I-cord stretched and make sure that is the length that you want to achieve. On the second last loop, remove your hook and insert your hook on the other side of the shoulders. Take the I-cord and pull up a loop and work up a chain on both ends to close. Bind off and weave in all loose ends. Congratulations if you made it this far, and thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to grab the full written pattern in the description box below. Bye for now.